Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I homeschool 4 kids ages 10, 10, 11, and 14. Today's video is a collaboration hosted by myself and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. A bunch of other moms are joining in on this collaboration. We're going to be talking about things that we don't do in our homeschool. So when you're done watching this video, you will want to check out the playlist that I linked below to see what all the other homeschool moms don't do in their homeschool. I'm not sure on how many points I have here. I have a few written down, but if any other ones come to my head while I'm making this video, I will include it. For me, this topic is going to be what I don't do and what I do in my homeschool. So I'm going to tell you what I don't do as well as what I do instead of what I don't do, if that makes sense. So before I start this video, I do want to say that I'm going to be talking about some things that some homeschoolers do that I don't do. And I want to be clear that that doesn't mean that I think it's wrong if you are a homeschooler who does that. So I just want to say that I don't think it's wrong if that is what you do as a homeschooling family yourself. Every homeschool family is different, and that's one of the wonderful things about homeschooling. Everyone can do it their own way. They can do it the way that works best for their family. So even though I'm sharing things that I don't do, and then things that I do, I don't want you to think that I think that that is the only way. I just want to offer different options, and the moms in the playlist below will also do different things in different ways, and it might just give you some things to think about. Maybe you'll have a chance to evaluate why you do something and if that's something you want to continue doing or if it's something you want to change. But just saying, do what works for your family. If you do the things that I don't do and it's working for you, that is great. It's great. Do what works for your family. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about here is something that I think it was more popular in the past few years. I haven't heard it pop up so much in homeschooling videos lately, but it was very popular, I would say 1 to 2 years ago, and everyone was talking about it. And that is poetry tea time. I definitely do not do poetry tea time. To me, that sounds like an ordeal, like something extra, like something I don't really have time for. I know they say that you don't have to make it fancy and have a bunch of fancy stuff, but it's another activity, it's another extra thing for me. And so not something I'm really interested in doing, and I never even tried it because just not something I'm interested in. Lots of families do it and they really enjoy it, and it's beautiful and you can take beautiful pictures, and some people do it simply and it's not a big deal and they just do it every so often and that works for them. But I just don't see us doing that in our family. What I do is I do read poetry in our morning basket. So morning basket is a very popular homeschooling thing as well, and that works for us. We do a very short morning basket every day, and one of our rotating items is poetry, so we might read some poetry once every 1 week or 2 weeks, something like that. So we throw poetry into our morning basket and we touch on it once in a while. The next thing that I don't do in my homeschool is each of my kids doing their own subjects at the specific grade levels that they're at. My kids do not have every subject at their specific grade or even their specific level because we do a lot of group work together. So in our homeschool, we do Bible, geography, history, and science, as well as like Chinese and things in our morning basket together with my 4 kids. So like I said at the beginning, they are ages 10 to 14. So I don't have a huge span between them, but they're not learning those subjects at a specific grade level. They're kind of learning it at a combined level, whatever level works best for the group as a whole. And then my kids have their own specific levels for math and language arts, depending on their abilities and how they're doing. Even with those, they are not at their grade level specifically. They might be above their grade level, they might be below their grade level, they might be at their grade level, but that's how we do things here. So some homeschool families might have kids that are very on grade level for all of those things, and they just get every subject and their child works relatively independently on those subjects, and that's one way to do it. We like to do a lot of things together as a group, and at this point, I don't know I think it will change a little bit as my girls are getting older and into high school, but I don't think that them being in high school means that they have to stop all of the group work we do together. So I have plans for how I'm going to keep doing group work for a while with my girls who are going to be starting some high school credits next year. And we'll just see how it goes. I have never done it before, so I can't say it won't change, but that's my plans at this point. Another thing that we don't do in our homeschool is have a flow or have a timetable. We are kind of in between. So we don't wake up and say, okay, we do this and then that and then this and then that and this and then that, and it doesn't matter at all about the times. We do start at a certain time, but we don't like switch subjects based exactly on the time. So we don't say, okay, it's 10:15, we got to move on to this. Now it's 11:45, we need to move on to this. So we're kind of in between those two. We have a schedule, a daily schedule that we follow in a loose way. We do start school at about the same time every day, and the kids know when they're expected to start. And then we go through our schedule and I adjust throughout the day as needed. So maybe math will take a little longer or math might take a little shorter, and then we'll start our group time. How long is our group time? Do I have time to do both history and geography, or do I need to just stop at history based on the time, because we do have some things that happen in the afternoon at a certain time. So we have a flexible timetable schedule within our days, but we are not go with the flow type people. The next thing that I don't do in my homeschool is worry too much about completing the curriculum within a set time of year. So we will start new curriculum whenever we finish the old curriculum. We will continue curriculum that we didn't finish the last year until it's completed before we start a new curriculum in general. We don't stop a curriculum unless it really is not working or we just don't have time for that in our schedule and we need to prioritize other things. We just keep working on our curriculum until it's finished. So then what happens? Do we get really behind? Do we start worrying about, oh no, my child's not going to be at this level in math or at this level in language arts when they need to be? No, I don't worry about that, because if a child, let's say a child finishes their grammar in the middle of the year, I can then evaluate, are they ready for the next level of grammar, or are they ready to skip a level and go to the one after that? So I might not do every grade of that grammar. I might skip a level, I might continue, or I might just take a break from grammar and reevaluate later. So another example would be history. We kind of start and stop history curriculum as we finish it, and we just move on to the next thing. So I'm always planning ahead. I'm always planning for what I'm going to be doing next after I finish a curriculum, but I don't have to finish that at the end of our school year. We can finish it anywhere, and that's okay. I will say that I do plan ahead. I do kind of look into the future and see when I'd like to be finished curriculum, but then I'm just realistic about how far we actually will get. Once we've started a curriculum and I can see the pace we're going at, I can figure out where we're going to end at the end of the school year and how much we'll have the next school year. So it's not that I'm not looking ahead, I'm not thinking about it. I am thinking about it, but I'm just chosen not to worry about it. We will just do the next thing at their level when we get to that point. So along with the not worrying about finishing curriculum at a certain time, I'm actually going to continue that flexibility into the high school years. My middle daughter, she is starting high school credits quite early, and my other daughter is technically going into 8th grade, but she is a 9th grade age. So they're going to start some high school credits, but I'm not going to worry about completing 1 year worth within 1 year. So maybe, for example, my middle daughter, she's going to be starting a high school Chinese level. Maybe we'll do 1.5 years to give her that first high school credit. She has lots of time to get all of her high school credits in, so I'm not going to rush the process. We'll take our time. We'll just let things be a little more slower, especially at these earlier high school grade years. So you will need to check with your state what the rules are about high school credits and how that's awarded Here in our state, Washington State, it's pretty flexible. The parent is in charge of creating a transcript, and we are in charge of deciding what's going to be in a high school course. So it's just a little more flexible than some states, and probably even less flexible than some other states. So that's how I'm choosing to approach high school as well at these early high school grades. This final point might be a little more for the new homeschoolers out there. And I will say that some homeschooling families do this. However, many homeschooling families do not do this, and that is grade anything. Now, I'm not talking about high school years. I think there's different ways to tackle that. Some people will choose to grade high school years. Some people will choose just different grading systems for their transcripts and things like that. So I'm not talking about high school, but I'm talking about middle school and below. A lot of homeschool families do not grade work. That's not to say that we don't mark it. I do mark the work. I don't mark all the work, but I do mark most of the work. And I do have my kids do corrections and things like that, but I have not given my kids a grade since we started homeschooling. Now, I'm not saying I'm never going to do that in the future, because actually I will probably start next year. Like I said, my two girls, they're going to be starting some high school credits, and that I am going to come up with a grading system, and I am going to start marking their work. And I might include all of their work just so that they can get used to being marked on things and just knowing how all of that works. So I have not graded anything up until this point for the past 2.5 years. I'm not going to start until next year, and then we'll see what I grade and what I don't, and what sort of grading system I'll come up with for my girls, especially for their high school credits. So those are some things that I don't do in my homeschool and things that I do in my homeschool. Don't forget to check the playlist below to see what all the other homeschool moms do and don't do. Thanks so much for coming today, and I hope to see you in my next video. Goodbye, everyone.